Landscapes are living assemblages. They are in process all the time. And by having that long view, we can appreciate the extent and the nature of change, and that helps us prepare for the change to come, I guess. We want the Wild Edges project to offer people new, unexpected perhaps, views of a landscape that they may already be familiar with, and to consider the different ways in which history and archaeology on the one hand and creative practice on the other can contribute to future decision making and to anticipating the future of these landscapes in moments of change.
Even though we're in the same space, right now we're both having a very different experience of it, because we bring our own things to it and our own knowledge, and by sharing it you start seeing things you wouldn't have seen before.
Because archaeology on one level deploys a whole series of technologies to try and objectify the world in one way or other, to record it. I guess what's nice about working with you is that you're not constrained by that kind of disciplinary conventions, those expectations to some extent.
I guess one's digital and one's more analog. It's that kind of, in a way, I find those more objective kind of keystones really useful as sort of starting blocks to then take a leap of imagination.
We've come to Gardom's Edge because it's a place where the university has worked in the past. We've had a large archaeological project here in the 1990s with the National Park, and that's produced a lot of archaeological knowledge about how Gardom's Edge changed through time. So the earliest traces that we have of human visits to Gardom's Edge probably date from about 7,000 years ago, thereabouts, and they comprise just pieces of chipped stone and flint that people left on hunting trips onto the moors. So the next main change, I guess, comes probably about 4,500 years ago, when we have the monuments constructed on the edge, the barrows, the funerary barrows, the rock art and so on. And people then were up here grazing animals, most likely seasonally.
It's important when you're in a place like this to look at it both subjectively and objectively. So Bob's coming from a more sort of science fact-based approach, and I'm coming from a more emotional kind of experiential approach. At the heart of what I want to create for this project, it's to sort of give a sense of all these different layers that exist here at Gardom's. I like the idea that when moving through a landscape, you're very aware of just being one more layer on top of thousands of other layers, especially somewhere like this where it's also visible. And I also really like the idea that anybody who's sort of seen this project and comes to Gardom's will get a sense that they are the next layer on top of ours.
There's an important tension within this landscape between, on the one hand, the needs of conservation, and on the other, the needs of the many users of this landscape. The uplands have a really critical role to play in the face of the environmental changes, the climate catastrophe that's affecting humanity at present. So we have to think about sort of managing, I suppose, these spaces for their ecological and their human benefits. The way forward is then to take the time to listen to one another's perspectives and to respect those perspectives, and from that begin to sort of fashion some kind of common view, common vision for how the landscape should be.
My ideal view of what these wild places would be like in the future is places that everyone feels comfortable in and responsible for. And I think it's that collective responsibility and collective affection and connection with places. That's essential for ever feeling like we want to protect and save these places.